Hello, everybody. Okay, so I was going to do my second part of how the alt-right fell apart tonight, but I'm going to postpone that second video in light of the news from today that was quite interesting for me as a Catholic, as a worshiping Catholic, as a practicing Catholic. I don't feel strongly enough about myself to call myself devout. I couldn't give myself that title. Nevertheless, I am, for all of its problems, especially in the modern age, I derive a lot of spiritual sustenance from the Catholic Church and from Catholicism. And the news today that came out of the Vatican might not be of interest to some of you. To some of you, this might just be, like a bit of folklore, or I don't know, some kind of bizarre intricate subject that you don't know very much about and don't care all that much about, and that's fine if that's the case with you. But I don't think you have to be Catholic to find what I'm about to talk about interesting, and to find the announcement that came out of that was the announcement that Pope Francis made today to be quite extraordinary. So I talked before, I think in a prior video a few days ago, I talked before about what was happening in Ukraine, and how, in my mind, I don't know this for sure, but and I'm not typically an astrologically minded person, but somebody told me about the right of return of Pluto, and that happens every 200 something years, and so Pluto's return. I know this is going to make me sound flaky, but I'm just trying to set this up, okay, in a way that might make it accessible to different sorts of people. The right of return for the United States of America was February 22nd of 2022. What happened just right around that time, or just 2 days later? I should also explain that right of return signifies world or epoch-changing events, shifting of power from one power base to another. It signifies either the birth or perhaps the decline, the death of a great power. But what should happen right around that time period, the 22nd, just 2 days afterwards, was Russia's shocking invasion of Ukraine. I say shocking because I was shocked by it. I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought that it was just fear-mongering on a bunch of Russophobes' parts, and I was wrong. So that happened on the 24th, and that seemed like a significant moment, that this was Putin's Rubicon. He crossed it, because he decided that I don't know if his psychic at the Kremlin told him to do it. Like, a couple of presidents have had psychics that have, like Nixon had Gene Dixon famously. I think the Reagans employed a psychic, so it's not at all a rare or just fringe type of thing, as some people might think. A lot of powerful people who listen to psychics, rightly or wrongly. They take them seriously, and when powerful people take something seriously, there's probably something to it. Anyway, I'm making this is a somewhat circuitous introduction, but what I am saying is that Russia's invasion of Ukraine put Russia back in the minds of the general public. Most Americans had forgotten about Russia for the most part since the collapse of the Soviet Union. And Russia was this kind of bogeyman for a lot of dishonest people in the political sphere. But at the same time, that's not to say that Russia was just this force for goodness and purity either. It's things are not absolute. It's not one way or the other. I did, and I have long, felt extremely antipathic towards those in the Western political establishment who just want to vilify Russia constantly, all the time. But and the situation in Ukraine is incredibly complicated. What led up to the events that led up to Russia's invasion were by no means simple. It wasn't just an unprovoked act of aggression like they all disingenuously said. It was very provoked, but it was definitely an act of aggression, and it's not something that I condone. And it's something that has caused a great deal and is continuing to cause a great deal of suffering. So anyway, why am I talking about Russia here? And why did I begin by talking about the Pope and then start talking about Russia? Well, in 1917, there was an event called the Marian apparition at Fatima. I don't want to get too in the weeds with Fatima, partly because I know some stuff about it, but I'm by no stretch a Fatima scholar. But I've been interested in Fatima, like a lot of Catholics are. And in this event, the appearance, what happened in Fatima, again, if you believe the what the church has acknowledged to be a real event, or it's not something that's necessary for faith to believe in the events of Fatima, but the church has said, yes, there's something real here. And the church doesn't just go around willy-nilly saying, yes, and anything that's a miracle, anytime Mary appears anywhere, that we approve this apparition. In fact, they are very hesitant to approve apparitions, and it's a long, arduous process, and it goes through a lot of scrutiny. So I can't speak for those who disbelieve in Fatima, but I do just want to correct those who would think that the church authorities are simply just credulous and just believe anytime any yokel says that they saw the Virgin somewhere, or that Jesus appeared to them, or this or that saint appeared to them, or the Virgin Mary showed up in my spaghetti sauce, or something like that. The church has a very skeptical stance towards these things, and Fatima, it took many years for it to be officially declared an approved apparition. That is to say, an apparition that is believed by the church to be an actual visitation by the Blessed Virgin Mary. But again, you're not required to believe it. But if you don't believe it, it's not like disbelieving that Jesus rose from the dead or that Jesus was the Son of God, etc. But it's still something that the church does believe to be true. Now, what happened at Fatima? The children were told 3 secrets, 2 of which were revealed, the third of which there's been a lot of controversy about whether it ever actually got revealed in its fullness. But I won't get into the whole controversy surrounding the third secret. That's opening a whole can of worms that I don't want to do. I'm trying to simplify this as much as I can. Well, what one thing that the Virgin told the children, 3 children from a small village in Portugal. The village is Fatima. These were poor, illiterate children, very devout, very pure of heart, apparently, but mostly illiterate, uneducated. And Our Lady told these 3 children about Russia, and that Russia would, unless an intervention was made by the church, that Russia would spread her errors across the world, and that Russia would be essentially an instrument of God's punishment against the West, which was, becoming more and more, was growing farther and farther away from righteousness. Okay. Now, the children didn't know what Russia was. They thought Russia was a woman. They had no idea that Russia was a country. This is how guileless these kids were. And how ignorant, I don't mean ignorant in a negative way, I just in a descriptive way. They just didn't know about other countries. They had very simple lives. They were just peasant kids, essentially, peasant children from this small, impoverished village out in the sticks in Portugal. But what she told the children was that unless an intervention was made, was actively made by the church, that Russia would spread her errors to the rest of the world. Okay. Now, what was the intervention that the BVM, the Blessed Virgin Mary, asked for? What she asked to be done was for the church to consecrate the nation of Russia to Mary's Sacred Heart. And this consecration would take the form of the Pope, first and foremost, saying these prayers whereby Russia was consecrated to the Sacred Heart of Mary. And the Pope would be saying this in concert with all of the bishops of the church. Okay. And so, unless this consecration were made for Russia, again, to the Sacred Heart of Mary, then Russia would be unleashed upon the West and spread her errors across the world and be an instrument of God's wrath to the wayward West, essentially. So this never happened for some reason, for a series of reasons. This never happened. Now, it was there are other things that were revealed by the Virgin. There was also the miracle of the sun. So it wasn't just 3 kids talking to the air. There was an actual miracle that happened where thousands of people experienced this, and a lot of the people who experienced it were atheists who'd come to mock this whole occasion, to mock this whole gathering, this whole event. And they saw the miracle of the sun instead. And I'm not going to go into detail about that right now, but look it up if you want. It's all really fascinating stuff. But anyway, also the Virgin seemed to predict the coming of another world war, which would be even more terrible than the first one. Also, I should say the stuff about Russia spreading her errors across the world. This was said before the Bolshevik Revolution even happened. I believe it was, it was an October revolution, and I think it was in August that this final visitation took place. Maybe it was August or September. I'm not totally clear on that. Somebody could correct me, I'm sure. But it was before October. It was before the Bolsheviks took over. So anyway, I'm trying to simplify things, but I'm doing my darndest to simplify things here. So the consecration for Russia was never said by any pope in concert with the bishops of the church. Now, in 1984, there was an occasion where Pope John Paul II consecrated all the countries of the world to the Sacred Heart of Mary, but he did not mention any individual countries, and so for that reason, it was generally thought that this did not count because it was clear from her words that she wanted Russia specifically to be consecrated. And so in recent weeks, after the invasion of Ukraine, supposedly the Ukrainian bishops were lobbying Pope Francis, and Pope Francis, who's I don't have a high opinion of him as a man or as a pope, but nevertheless, today he made the announcement that he would, on March 25th, that's 10 days from today. I don't know how that day was selected, but maybe it was selected for some good reason. On Friday, March 25th, he would consecrate the nations of Russia and Ukraine to the Sacred Heart of Mary. So, is this going to be for real? Right? Is it going to follow the steps that were laid out by the Blessed Virgin Mary when she spoke to the children? That's the question that people have, and there are a lot of naysayers out there. And for good reason, because this Pope has been a dud. But that's often how it's often said that God's glory is shown in mysterious ways by making people you don't expect much from suddenly rise to the occasion. So if God can use Pope Francis, of all popes, maybe the worst pope ever, I don't know. There have been worse ones as far as the lives that they led, apparently, but I'm not a fan of this guy. Okay, I am a Catholic, and I believe he is the Pope, but I'm not a fan of him. And you don't have to like the Pope if you're a Catholic any more than you have to like the president if you're a patriotic American. Nevertheless, he has made this announcement, and if he follows through and does it the way that it's said it was supposed to have been said, then this and the consecration of the nation of Russia to God's Sacred Heart takes place, and he mentions Russia by name, and all the bishops are there, and wherever they are in the world, they all simultaneously weigh in on the consecration or cooperate in prayerfully in the consecration that is made. Then this event will finally have happened. Russia will finally have been consecrated to the Sacred Heart of Mary. Will it happen the way that it's supposed to happen? If it happens, will anything happen? Will we see any miracle take place? Will there be an end to this, to the brewing hostilities, the war that's broken out and that threatens to spread further across the globe? I know there are a lot of naysayers and a lot of cynics, and I get that totally. Normally I would be chief among them, but this is, if you are Catholic, this is an event that you do not sneeze at. You do not just dismiss. Again, I'm not necessarily believing that it's going to be done the way that it needs to be done, and so forth and so on, but the prospect of it is very exciting. So I'm just going to put that out there, and then anybody can just tell me what you think, Catholic or non-Catholic. Let me know. Thanks for watching.